What's up, everybody? It's your favorite order picker's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at my top 5 and worst 5 non-Transformer related figures. In the future, I would love to do like top 5 worst 5 112, top 5 worst 5 16, top 5. I would love to break it down further, or even top 5 worst 5 Marvel, top 5 worst 5 Star Wars, etc. I would love to, but those videos don't get a whole lot of traction on this channel, and it's ultimately got to be worth my time. This one probably won't be, but I want to do it bad enough where it's going to be worth it for me. So this is across all scales, as long as it's not Transformer related in any way, shape, or form. And these are also based on the figures that I have purchased, not necessarily on the ones that I have looked at. Let's begin with the worst 5. Coming in at number 5 is SH Figuarts Catwoman. While the sculpt and paint is pretty beautiful, and the accessories and everything do make sense, for a character like Catwoman in this scale, articulation is paramount, and this figure fails in that regard. It just doesn't move as well or as nicely as it should, and the range of motion is extremely limited. So for that, she has to make the list. My number 4 is this recently released Psylocke, and let me tell you why. There's a lot of good about this figure, okay? Granted, I'll be the first to admit it. But there's a lot of problems with this figure as well. For one, this piece on the back of her belt, this sash, is glued in, but the glue was very weak. And when I went to move the peg where you plug in the sash, it snapped off. Now, it didn't break, it just came unglued, but gluing it back together was a nightmare because it was such a shallow notch that it had to peg into. The head has a hard time staying stuck on in mine. And while the joints are all there for extreme articulation, a lot of it ends up looking awkward if you don't get it just right. And then lastly, her neck is obnoxiously long, which I've hidden here purposely, but you can even see it's still long. Her head sticks out further than it should. It's a beautiful figure, it displays well once you get it how you want it, but there's a lot of issues surrounding it. And that's why it had to make the list. Number 3. And it's not that they're bad figures, they're well-made figures. I'm just so tired of buying the exact same one in different colors. So that's why it's making the list. I'm taking a stand, but it's the overwhelming amount of ninjas we got this year from Storm Collectibles, all completely identical in sculpt with just different accessories. I think I got more ninja fatigue this year than I ever got seeker fatigue in my life. My number 2 choice of the year is not as much based on the quality of the figure as it is based on the concept surrounding it, and I'm calling it Deadpool trash. I understand the character is popular, I understand he's trendy, I understand he farts and says balls, I get it, he's cool, understood, but I don't need meaningless representations of him 2 to 3 to 4 a wave. It's too much, it's oversaturated. I appreciate getting another wave of X related figures, I just don't need this many Deadpools in one year, and that's why it's making my number 2. And the worst action figure that I bought this year is this DJ figure, which is ironic because Black Series has produced some of the best figures of the year, but this one is just off. The sculpt is off. The paint is off, the articulation is off, it has a hard time standing because of the joint tolerances in the feet. It's just a mess. And there they are. Those are my least favorite pickups of the year. And it's not that they're really all that bad. I didn't buy a whole lot of bad stuff this year just as fate would have it. It's just they make me angry for different reasons. Even the ninjas, they're great. It's just getting them all back to back with nothing else on the shelf. It just makes collecting the line boring. It's a similar situation with Deadpool. Selena Kyle looks beautiful, but she doesn't do much. Psylocke does maybe too much. So it's not that they're terrible figures. Most of them are good. There's just other aspects that play into it that make it a less enjoyable purchase, or set of purchases, I should say. While this figure doesn't make my list, I have to give it an honorable mention. This is Star Wars Black Series Jaina Solo. I have a large amount of you guys to thank for helping this figure come to life. I put up the link to vote for it for the fans' choice. And shortly after I did that, it smashed the scale. So thank you so much. And it is a phenomenal figure. It's just that so many great figures came out this year. I couldn't put her in my top 5 unbiasedly. Is that a word? We're gonna roll with it. But she has to be mentioned. She is a phenomenal figure, and it is one of the most meaningful figures in my collection, and I have a lot of you guys to thank for it. Coming in at number 5, Star Wars The Black Series has made a number of figures this year that have been absolutely outstanding. And not for nothing, they are easily the best figure that you can buy at a main retail store, without a doubt. They're better than everything else on the market. I stand by that 100%. But these two in particular, I need to point out, and that's Young Solo and the Target exclusive Leia. They just epitomize what this line should be about. Appropriate accessories, unique sculpts, great attention to detail, fantastic paint. The faces have never looked better. The paint on those faces have never looked better. The Black Series has shortened the gap between them and the Japanese imports 4 times over. They're not quite there, and they never will be for a couple of reasons that we could get into another day. But it used to feel like a $40 difference between the two, and now it's at, sometimes it feels like 15 to 20. Just a phenomenal line, but these two in particular have been some of my favorites. And then there's one other one that we got to talk about in a bit. Number 4, Mafex Bane. The fact that you can come with the coat or without is great. It's brilliant. It's an awesome accessory to include. The price point has gone up, but the quality has matched. And that's kind of the message I've been preaching for years. As long as what you get matches what you pay, perfect. This figure has a strong sculpt, strong articulation, great presence. The gimmick is fantastic. It's just a really solid, concise piece. Number 3, SH Figuarts Flash from Justice League. This is just the epitome of SH Figuarts to me. It's not the flashiest character, am I right? But it doesn't have the bells and whistles that are going to set it apart like their Thanos or whatever, but it just checks every box all the way down. Articulation, sculpt, paint, playability, price, etc. It just does everything right, and I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't include it. My number 2, Hasbro's Star Wars The Black Series Gamorrean Guard Target exclusive. The accessory choices are perfect. The sculpt is perfect. It has numerous applications of different styles of paint to make it unique, strong, and display well. It integrates hard plastics, soft plastics, and soft goods in order to give the best representation of the character they could do at the price point. The articulation works to the nines, and I just have to go back and say it one more time. The sculpt is absolutely phenomenal. It is, without a doubt, the best figure that I bought from a main line. And hands down, the best single purchase I made all year, period, is Hot Toys Iron Man Mark IV. It does everything I'd ever want it to and more. It's painted beautifully, it's articulated well, it's made with fantastic materials, it has light up features, it has gimmicks out the wazoo, it has a shelf presence unlike any other. It is absolutely 100% a phenomenal piece, and I can't recommend it enough. It is the best purchase I made this year, my numero uno. And there they are, my top 5 figures of the year that are non-Transformer related. It makes me very excited about stuff that's coming in the future, because all of these companies are still producing product. They still have a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to next year. I couldn't be more excited about it, and I hope they stay on the same upward swing that they all continue to be on. And there they are. Quite the collection of figures this year. And I mean, shout out to Hasbro for making so many great Black Series. I mean, it's been amazing watching them improve. But overall, a pretty good year's worth of stuff. And there's plenty of other stuff that's great. I mean, the Sauron Build-A-Figure from Marvel Legends is great. The Scarecrow and Harvey Dent from Mafex are great. There's a lot of really, really, really good stuff that came out this year, but these are definitely my favorite and least favorite of my personal pickups. So yeah, this is part 1 of a 3-part series, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.